More examples of Holdren's spectacularly wrong alarmist rhetoric. John Holdren, ideological environmentalist. President Barack Obama has nominated a green dream team to guide the implementation of his ambitious climate and energy policies. John Holdren, a fierce ideological environmentalist, will be the leader of this team as the assistant to the president for science and technology and director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. Holdren's political environmentalism has been amply rewarded over the years. Today, he is the Teresa and John Hines Professor of Environmental Policy at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government, Director of Environmental Research Group, the Woods Hole Research Center, and past President of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. In his salad days, Holdren was a fully paid up member of the Limits to Growth Club. For example, in his 1971 Sierra Club book, Energy, A Crisis in Power, Holdren declared that it is fair to conclude that under almost any assumptions, the supplies of crude petroleum and natural gas are severely limited. The bulk of energy likely to flow from these sources have been tapped within their lifetime of many of the present population. This sounds very much like contemporary prognostications of peak oil, which it is. See, and as another example, in 1979, you understand me, they were saying the same things what they're saying today. That there's overpopulation, that the Earth's not going to be able to sustain themselves, that we're running out of oil. And personally, I could care less if we run out of oil or not. All that would do is just force people to start using solar energy and other clean energies that are more sustainable. You understand? These people aren't looking for solutions. They're looking to create crises so that you can scream out for their solutions, which is world government and more control and less of you and more of them. You understand? And again, this is another good article pointing out this Holder and what he really believes. I mean, they brag about it in their books. Now, here's one that come out of the Washington Examiner. Wednesday, July 15, 2009. Obama science czar, traditional family is obsolete, punish large families. And this is another quote from his 1977 book, Ecoscience, where they wrote, radical changes in family structure and relationships are inevitable, whether population control is instituted or not. Inaction attended by a steady deterioration in living conditions of the poor majority will bring changes everywhere that no one could consider beneficial. Thus, it is beside the point to object to population control measures simply on the grounds that they might change the social structure or family relationships. Holdren encourages government to wage an effective war on the family in America. It begins with the abolition of pro-natalistic policies and continues with their complete reversal, which is sterilization, abortion. Now, there's a liberal website claiming that the source of Holdren's controversy is radical right wing. That, oh, it's the radical right wing that just talks about these things, you know? When the fact is the source is Holdren's own book. And over at prisonplanet.com, Paul Joseph Watson wrote, liberal website Newshounds attempts to giggle and guffaw at the controversy of Obama's top science advisor John P. Holdren's plans to mass sterilize the population and carry out forced abortions by claiming that the entire story is an invention of right-wing radicals, when the fact comes straight from Holdren's 1977 book, Ecoscience. And like I said, I've got scans up. You can go check this stuff out for yourself. And here was an interesting article that came out Monday, July 13, 2009. Reason Online, Ronald Bailey wrote, and this was originally posted in May of 2000. Predictions of the overpopulation alarmists wrong, wrong, and wrong again. Earth Day then and now. The planet's future has never looked better, and here's why. 30 years ago, 20 million Americans participated in the first Earth Day on April 22nd, 1970. Fifth Avenue in New York City was closed to automobiles as 100,000 people joined in concerts, lectures, and street theater. More than 2,000 colleges and universities across America paused their anti-war protests to rally instead against pollution and population growth. Even Congress recessed, acknowledging that the environment was now on a political par with motherhood. Since that first Earth Day, the celebrations have only gotten bigger, if somewhat less dramatic. The organizers of Earth Day 2000, to be held April 22nd, expect 500 million people around the globe to participate in celebrations, workshops, and demonstrations. This year's theme is clean energy, and the master of ceremonies for the big celebration on the Washington Mall is none other than Leonardo DiCaprio. So, they've been historically famous for using Hollywood and Hollywood figures as a manipulation for political gain. And like I said, Earth Day 1970 provoked a torrent of apocalyptic predictions. We are about 5 more years at the outside to do something, ecologist Kenneth Watt declared to a Swarthmore College audience on April 19th of 70. And all over the country, that was the theme. We've got 5 more years. Well, here we are in 2009. Not only are we any closer to a clean energy, we're still in wars over dirty energy. 3 decades later, of course, the world hasn't come to an end. If anything, the planet's ecological future has never looked so promising. With 500 million people suiting up around the globe for Earth Day 2000, now is a good time to look back on the predictions made at the first Earth Day and see how they've held up and what we can learn from them. The short answer, the prophets of doom were not simply wrong, but spectacularly wrong. And this goes on to talk about Soylent Greens, where they were talking about imminent global famine caused by the population bomb. That was a big issue on Earth Day 1970. A big other thing was smog and how people were worried about poisoning the biosphere and ourselves with dangerous pesticides like DDT. And they were predicting that by 1985 we'd have to be wearing gas masks and the air would be unfit to breathe. None of this happened. You understand? And this is a lengthy article. It goes very well in depth about it. How did the doomsters get so many predictions so wrong on the first Earth Day? Their mistake can be handily summed up in Paul Ehrlich and John Holdren's infamous I equals Pat equation. Impact equals population times affluence times technology, they declared. More people were always worse, by definition. Affluence meant that rich people were consuming more of Earth's resources, a concept that was regularly illustrated by claiming that the birth of each additional baby in America was worse for the environment than 25, 50, or even 60 babies born on the Indian subcontinent. And technology was bad because it meant that humans were pouring more poisons into the biosphere, drawing down more non-renewable resources and destroying more of the remaining wilderness. Now, you see what I'm saying here? If you want a result, you can buy a study. So if you want to perpetuate fear, you can easily do that by funding people who come to the same conclusions that you want them to come to. And they know that, or they won't get any more funding. That's exactly what's going on with this global warming movement right now. And not only that, but a lot of these other sciences. I mean, if you find the cure for cancer, then that's it. There's no more need to fund research when it comes to cancer. There's no more need for the pharmaceutical industry to make billions and billions of dollars off it. So, finding a cure for these things is not high on anybody's priority list when it comes to their jobs. Now, Jurian Masson over at Infowars.com wrote July 16, 2009, Undermining Human Nature, Mass Media, and Eugenics. Throughout the last half of the 20th century, the UNESCO eugenicists have left no means unused to control the growth of population worldwide. The mass media, they reckoned, was by far the most effective instrument through which population control policies could be distributed and implemented. But where to test the effectiveness of such a campaign? Surely not in the Western world, where outright propaganda and trickery would backfire on the propagandists in a hurry. They would have to find another testing ground, one more poverty-stricken and needy, therefore easily overwhelmed by UNESCO and UNFPA personnel with their textbooks of tyranny. And this talks about how organizations like UNESCO, that comes out of the United Nations, has the goals of reducing worldwide population. In the year 1974, the World Population Conference was organized by UNESCO and the UNFPA, starting off several seminars organized by the transnationalists, directed specifically at representatives of mass media in the countries involved. One such seminar for press and media outlets was organized by UNESCO's Regional Office for Education in Thailand to discuss and exchange ideas on best methods of propagating the small family norm to the